Great day, our dear senior high school students, and welcome to our class in General Biology 2. I am Teacher Beverly, and I will be your guide as we explore the wonders of biology. Before we proceed, here are our reminders. Check your knowledge of the lesson from your previous junior high school science subject. Listen and pay attention to the details. Have you ever wondered how scientists explore the vast diversity of organisms? Or how they describe and analyze the individuality of each species? Those are just a few questions that we are going to answer as we unravel the concepts of biological classification.
At the end of the lesson, you are expected to 1. Describe the Linnaean system of naming and classification. 2. Classify organisms based on its observable characteristics. 3. Identify the unique characteristics of a specific taxon relative to other taxa. And 4. Realize the importance of classification in understanding the components of biodiversity as well as in other fields.
Are you familiar with this application? You might be one of those guys who waits for the 15th or 30th of the month to add your favorite shoes, bags, clothes, or other things that interest you. How's your experience in using the application? Do you easily find the product you would like to buy? What feature of the application helps you to easily find the item you are looking for? If your answer is categories, you are right.
Shopee is a user-friendly application that allows users to easily locate the products through its organized list, arranging its items into categories and subcategories. Once you open the app, you can see general categories such as men's apparel, women's apparel, mobiles and gadgets, and more. Each category is further divided into subcategories such as dresses, tops, tees, and shorts, to name a few for women's apparel. Clicking one of these subcategories will bring you to different items that share similar features as indicated on the category chosen. This is also similar on how items are arranged in grocery stores and even at home. We arrange tools, appliances, and other objects based on its characteristics and function. We can consider the part of the house to where it is commonly used as its general category, then further arranging it into different area in a room to easily locate it when needed and find what is available and not.
This process of classifying and arranging objects is also applied to diverse organisms found on Earth. Take a look on the following pictures.
These are animal parks. Have you been to any animal parks in the Philippines? If yes, that's great. I believe you had a wonderful experience. But if not yet, don't worry, as there are different applications that offer virtual tours to places like this. What organisms can we see on those parks? We can find different species of mammals, reptiles, amphibians, birds, and fishes. That's a great number, right? But that is very few compared to all the animals that can be found on the entire planet. And how do scientists analyze its rich diversity?
You are right. Just like how items are classified in groceries and at home, different organisms such as plants and animals are also classified into categories known as taxa. Let me introduce you to one of the scientists who have made significant contributions in the field of taxonomy, or the science of naming and classifying organisms.
Do you know who is he? He is Carolus Linnaeus, also known as Carl von Linné. He is a Swedish botanist and explorer who developed the Linnaean system, a taxonomic classification system which organized organisms from larger to smaller and more specific categories, the hierarchical system. He also created a scientific naming system, the binomial system of nomenclature.
Let us talk about the scientific naming system he developed. Why do we need to have a universal naming system when we have the common names that we are more familiar with? Let us answer it by analyzing the following pictures of organisms.
Have you ever seen this animal creature? How do you call this? You may be familiar with this as salungo, but in other places, this same creature is also called tayom, tuyom, and maratangtang. How about this organism? How do you call this? Correct, this is a jellyfish, but it is not actually a fish.
As some of the common names vary from place to place while others could be misleading, Carolus Linnaeus designed a universal naming system known as the binomial nomenclature. Based on this naming system, every recognized species on Earth is given a two-part name. This includes the genus and the specific epithet. For example, as humans has the scientific name of Homo sapiens, which means we belong to genus Homo and species Sapiens. I believe you can now identify an organism's scientific name given its classification. Good job, STEM students! Now let us determine how organisms are classified in a hierarchical system.
All organisms are classified based on morphological traits, developmental traits, and genetic traits. Based on this, they are organized from larger to smaller or more specific categories. This hierarchy includes the domain, which is the largest and most inclusive, followed by kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. You may use mnemonics to easily remember this hierarchy, such as, do kings play chess on fine-grained sand? Or, you may devise your own. Each level of the taxonomic hierarchy is known as taxon, and all the levels refer to taxa. Starting from the largest taxon, which is domain, organisms are classified into three large groups: the eukarya, archaea, and bacteria. These are further classified into smaller taxon or categories, such as kingdom, which group organisms as animals, plants, fungi, protists, archaea, and eubacteria.
Let us determine how each kingdom differ from one another through our next activity. Presented here is a picture of an ecosystem. What specific organisms can you find in the picture? Can you identify to what kingdom do they belong? Let us try by completing this table.
Is there any organism belonging to kingdom Archaea? Yes. We may not see it, but the nature of environment may accommodate methanogens and other type of archaea. How about bacteria? Do you think bacteria could exist in that ecosystem? Absolutely. Bacteria are almost anywhere. And since we can find a decaying matter here, there might be a presence of decomposer bacteria such as Pseudomonas fluorescens. Do you think a protist exists in this ecosystem? You are right, and an example could be algae. How about fungi? We have here the mushroom. And of course, we also have different plants such as ferns and trees, as well as animals such as fishes, birds, and frogs.
Now, let us differentiate each kingdom based on the representative organisms we have identified.
The first is Kingdom Archaea or Archaea. The word archaea means archaic or primitive. It includes ancient bacteria. They are prokaryotic, or they lack a nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. They are also unicellular and lacks peptidoglycan, a polymer that is found in bacterial cell walls. Most of them are extremophiles, or they love extreme environments. It includes halophiles, or the extremophiles that thrive in high salt concentrations, such as Halobacterium salinarum, the thermophiles, or an extremophile that thrives at relatively high temperature, such as Thermoplasma volcanium. Of course, we also have methanogens, which are anaerobic microorganisms capable of producing methane, such as Methanosarcina burkeri. Some archaebacteria are autotrophs or are capable of producing their own food, while some are heterotrophs or they cannot make their own food. Next is kingdom Eubacteria. These are the true bacteria such as the Pseudomonas fluorescens. It also includes blue-green algae or the cyanobacteria. Just like archaea, they are prokaryotic and unicellular, however, some form colonies and filaments. Unlike archaea, its cell contains peptidoglycan. They survive almost anywhere, and they could be autotrophs, heterotrophs, or chemoautotrophs. Chemoautotrophs means they can synthesize food through the use of chemical energy. The third is kingdom Protista. These are plant-like, animal-like, and fungus-like organisms. They are eukaryotic or they possess a clearly defined nucleus. They are mostly unicellular, few are colonial, and multicellular. Most of them are aquatic, just like our identified example, the algae, which is an aquatic plant-like organism. Protists could be autotrophs or heterotrophs. Then we have the kingdom Fungi. These are all eukaryotes. Most of them are multicellular with very few unicellular, specifically the yeast, an ingredient commonly used in baking. They are all heterotrophs and form spores for reproduction. The cell wall contains chitin, an example of polysaccharide or complex sugar. They break down organic materials just like how mushrooms work in decaying logs and other organic matter. They provide drugs and aids in food production, but at the same time, cause diseases to plants and animals. We also have kingdom Plantae, which includes all plants around us. They are also eukaryotic, multicellular, and autotrophic. Their cells are enclosed in a rigid cell wall and they contain chlorophyll, the green pigment in plants which allows them to perform photosynthesis. This kingdom is divided into two major groups, the bryophytes, or the plants which do not have the vascular tissues such as phloem and xylem, and the tracheophytes, which contain the vascular tissues. Lastly is the kingdom Animalia. I believe all of you are familiar with some of its members and probably others are even one of your pets. Now let us describe them. All of them are eukaryotic, multicellular, and heterotrophic. It is considered as the biggest kingdom in the living world. It is divided into two major groups, the vertebrates, or those animals with backbone, and the invertebrates, or those without backbone.
There we go for the 6 kingdoms of organisms. You are really doing well. Now let's get more interactive. You will be doing an activity that will challenge your brain and at the same time will give you a better grasp of the topic. This is not your ordinary quiz as we will be having it through a game. So bring out your gadget, whether that is a laptop, a tablet, or a phone. And let's begin. Using your gadget that is connected to internet, just go to our shared drive in General Biology 2 and download the file entitled Call of Biology 2. Make sure that you have pre-installed Microsoft Office or WPS on your device to open the file. Once you have opened it, just set it to presentation view and you may now start playing the game. Welcome to Call of Biology 2. This is where the game starts. At the end of the game, you're expected to have a better understanding of the unique or distinctive characteristics of a specific taxon relative to the other taxa. To continue, click anywhere on the screen. Choose your gender, whether you are a male or a female. Then, select the character of your choice. You may view the different references used in this game through the credits button. To proceed with the game, tap back, then select Start Game. Once the questions have loaded, read it carefully and choose the correct answer from the options provided. can't get the correct answer at once, don't worry, as you can always go back to the question and read it one more time. You can try it as many times as needed until you get the correct answer. Once you have answered all the 5 questions correctly, you are done with our activity. Just take a screenshot of the last slide and send it on our class group chat. I know you are now excited to play the game. So get on your gadget, download the file, and start playing. Good luck! Once you are done playing, it's time for a more fun and learning-filled activity. Let's get the ball rolling. Our planet is a home to millions of species of different plants and animals. And to help us understand the diversity of these living organisms, including its unique and distinctive characteristics, as well as their evolutionary relationships, they were classified into several categories known as taxa. Let us find out how each taxon differ with one another by doing an activity entitled Exploring Biodiversity. By the end of this activity, you will be able to identify the characteristics of different organisms that can be found around the house, determine the name and biological classification of each organism, identify the unique characteristics of a specific taxon relative to other taxa, and realize the role of taxonomy in understanding the components of biodiversity. For our activity, we need mobile phones with camera and internet connection, learning activity sheets, and a pen. Also, make sure that you have installed Seek application by iNaturalist. Are you excited to explore biodiversity? I am just as excited as you are. So let's begin. For the first part, we are going to explore diversity among animals. And the first thing you need to do is to simply look around the house and identify 5 different animals that can be found on it. Take a picture of each animal and observe its characteristics. You will describe each animal in terms of presence of backbone, body covering, type of appendages, habitat, and method of movement. This will be written in Table 1 provided in your activity sheet. To help you easily identify the different characteristics exhibited by each species, you may refer to the activity guide provided for you. After you have described all the 5 animals found around your house, you will now identify its common name, scientific name, and biological classification using the mobile application Seek by iNaturalist. You may use the photos you have taken or you may revisit the organism and scan it using the mobile application itself. The gathered information will be written in Table 2 on your activity sheet. Lastly, you will answer the 3 guide questions relative to the activity performed. The same procedures will be followed in the second part, which explores the diversity among plants. However, this time, you will be describing each in terms of their ability to produce seeds or spores, the ability to bear flowers, the number of cotyledons, the number of flower parts, their leaf venation, leaf attachment, and leaf arrangement. Just follow the preceding steps until you have answered the guide questions for Part B. That is all for our activity. Be a scientist of your own, and with me, let's explore the wonders of biology.
Knowledge check! Let's see how much you've learned from our today's lesson by answering a 10-item quiz through the link shown on your screen.
You are doing really great. Now, you are aware of the distinctive characteristics of each taxon and at the same time, the importance of classification in the field of biology and in other aspects of our lives. Do you develop any habit during the time of pandemic? Just to share your mind, I learned how to bake bread and cakes, and I hope you would love to do it too. But before you get started, share with us how you would like to arrange your kitchen. Make an illustration of your kitchen showing the proper arrangement of different baking tools and equipment considering its classification according to uses. Do it on a short bond paper. Also, answer the following question. And that's how we end our today's explorations on the wonders of biology. We did a great job, STEM 11 students. See you on our next exploration.